Welcome to Boosting You, the ultimate wellness platform. And I'm Shirley McLean.
I'm Dr. Peacock.
And today is all about what is self care. And people keep asking me, what is self care? And maybe, I don't know, but maybe they're asking the wrong question. So, because the real question is, maybe, is what kind of life do you want? Because self care isn't just a practice, it's a lifestyle revolution, a better way of thinking or doing things to better yourself.
Yeah, I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head there, Shirley. Absolutely.
So, if we break it down a little bit for everybody, self care, your personal power plant, it's not just about treating yourself, it's about creating yourself every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. If I tell you an example of, this will help you transform how you think of self-care, really. So, for example, last year I met a surgeon who was working this crazy, like 60-hour week. And she thought that self-care meant, just getting a massage once a month, which I'm sure was very nice, but that wasn't really self-care, is it? So, guess what happened to her? Absolutely, utterly, completely burnt out through working too hard.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I think the sort of the bubble bath or the massage every once a week or whatever, or once a month is more like a plaster, isn't it? Just sticking over the cracks of what that start to appear. When really, she should the massage and the things like that was her fountain rather than the actual thing that she should be doing. Boundaries and all of those kind of things.
Yeah, it's an absolute, it's such a must, isn't it? It's absolutely critical. So perhaps it would be helpful just to define self-care in a way that does revolutionize how people think about it, because self-care, it's your personal ecosystem of habits, of choices and practices that fuel your physical, emotional, mental and spiritual vitality.
Yeah, absolutely. There's kind of sort of four dimensions of self-care, really, isn't there? And people need to understand that it's not just about pampering, because that's what, Facebook quite says, doesn't it? It's about it's about power, isn't it? It's about choice, it's about awareness, education, and small actions that lead to bigger things that we can achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let's maybe start with physical self-care. What's your take on this? I know you go jogging, and did you still used to do a bit of boxing and all the rest of it? Um,
I love exercise. I think it's a really good thing, and I do tell all my clients that they should, do meaningful movement. It doesn't have to be
yeah.
boxing or whatever, meaningful movement. Even if it's dancing around the kitchen with their kids, that's totally fine. So I think if we're talking about sort of physical self-care, it's about our body's maintenance systems, isn't it? That we're talking about. So things like quality of sleep that recharges your cellular biology.
Yeah.
It's that good nutrition, isn't it? That floods your body with all that energy that we need. Movement, that's our vital life force, isn't it? Absolutely. And obviously hydration, that keeps our system flowing with all that power that we have. But I think what people miss out on, it's not about perfection and doing this every single day. It's about progression. I quite often say it's the 80-20 principle. So if we're doing the good things 80% of the time, we've got 20% kind of flexibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And absolutely right. And let's talk about a little bit about emotional self-care. So, and that's I love this because this I think is where the magic happens, acknowledging your feelings without judgment, creating those boundaries that protect your emotional energy as well. Practicing self-compassion like it's your job that you need to do it all the time, connecting with people as well who elevate your spirit. That's really important thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, absolutely. It's surrounding yourself with positive people, isn't it? Really can help lift you and support you. But then again, there's that other aspect, isn't there, of mental self-care. So, sometimes this is really where the transformation begins, isn't it? Because mental fitness and mental self-care is that sort of like a cognitive fitness program, isn't it, that we're talking about, really? So stimulating your brain with new knowledge and new learning. And importantly, taking those breaks to prevent that mental fatigue.
Mm.
maybe practicing mindfulness to stay sort of sharp and focused throughout the day. And equally, it's about challenging those negative thought patterns that kind of creep in sometimes, don't they? And being able to replace them with some more empowering, kind of realistic thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally the crown jewel, spiritual self-care, you know, and that's not just about religion, religious people or anything like that. It's about connecting with something bigger than yourself. Spiritual self-care means finding meaning in your daily experiences, connecting with your core values of who you really are, practicing that gratitude with intensity, really absolutely feeling that gratitude as well, tuning into all those senses when we do that, and creating moments of stillness and reflection as well, which sometimes in this busy world we don't even think about. It's not even on our agenda. You know, contributing all of this to causes that light in our souls, get our soul on fire as well when we contribute all of these things together. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I think, what people kind of need to understand about self-care it's not a luxury, it is actually a necessity, and as I say to quite a lot of my clients, it's not selfish, it's self-preservation, it's strategic. We need to look after ourselves so we can look after people that we care about and want to look after. And so
Yeah.
when we take care of ourselves, we almost become that sort of force of nature, don't we?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that. And let's go through three massive myths about self-care that keep people a little bit stuck, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, self-care, as you just mentioned before, sometimes people think it's selfish. The reality is that self-care, it's like putting on an oxygen mask, first of all. You can't help others if you're struggling to breathe, and it's a common thing that people said, but we need reminders of that all the time as well. Myth two, self-care takes too much time. So the reality is self-care isn't about time. It's all about prioritizing. You can integrate it in your daily routine. We've talked over the last couple of little boosts that we've had about tiny little rituals. Even if it's just something different every day, it's something that we didn't do. And when it's on our agenda and when it's a little goal, a tiny one, and it can be different all the time, but when we can just integrate it into our day, we can do it. It doesn't take any time at all to do it. Myth three, self-care is expensive. The reality is, the most powerful self-care practices are usually free. Breathing, movement, like you said, you would love movement, gratitude. I absolutely love gratitude, boundary setting.
Yeah, all of those things are really important. And I think it's sometimes about self-care isn't what you do as such. It's almost what you become, isn't it? It's about creating those standards for how you treat yourself that becomes your natural way of living.
Yeah, and that really that's the ultimate truth about self-care. Absolutely. So it's different for everyone. Our self-care is so different. What energizes you might drain another person. I'm not a jogger myself. I like to walk, and I think, as expressed earlier to I did a 1 minute jog on the treadmill, well, 1.5 minutes, and nearly killed over. My heart was like that. But it's building things up as well. But the key is to, discover your own unique self-care blueprint that's right for you, really. And that's what we're going to help people with. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I always sort of say to people, perhaps think about this question that I think is quite a powerful question. What makes you alive? And
Mm.
whatever it is that they identify, that's your compass, isn't it, for that personal self-care strategy.
Yeah, love it, love it. Exactly. And remember, self-care isn't about being perfect either. It's about being present and, that intentional, how you treat yourself as well.
Yeah, I think that's really important, isn't it? So to kind of wrap things up for this sort of little self-care boost, I think it's the sort of ultimate self-care is the ultimate thing to give you that boost, isn't it? So every time you kind of honor your needs, you're kind of making that deposit, aren't you, in your energy bank account? And when your account is full, you can become this sort of unstoppable force for good in the world.
Yeah, yeah. And remember, everyone, that's lovely what you've just said. That's beautiful. So self-care isn't just surviving, it's all about thriving. Yeah, make it a priority, make it personal and make it powerful. And I think next time we can just roll on with our next little boost that we have, just continuing with this just introduction and just the foundations for self-care. I think we can carry on with that next time.
Sounds
Yeah.
great.
So thanks for joining us. Bye from me.
I hope to see you next time.